recently did a video spilling a little bit of tea, talking about 7 things that are kind of behind the scenes when it comes to producing fragrance content here on YouTube. Everything that goes into being a reviewer, what we deal with in terms of negotiating with brands, what it actually takes to produce content, all that stuff. If you missed that video, check it out here. One aspect of that video was the idea of free bottles, which always has been and probably always will be a point of contention and controversy here in the fragrance community. I know there's a lot of you that don't really care. You fully support it. You say, hey, yep, put bottles into the hands of reviewers so that they can give their unbiased opinion. And I know that is the focal point. That is the crux of the being okay with it. You want opinions that are real, that are not bought and all that. So there will never be a perfect middle ground for that. There will never be a truly pleasing everyone in that regard. So I wanted to actually make a video that is not intended to be flexing or boasting or put anyone under the bus. That is not my intention for this video at all. I'm just trying to put my cards out on the table and talk about 5 fragrances that come from niche brands that I have personally purchased with my own money. I have them ordered here from least to most expensive, just for the sake of clarity and some kind of form to follow. This first fragrance comes from a house that does not get enough talk here on YouTube. This is coming from Parfums de Nicolas, and this is called Patchouli Intense. Now, I bought this purely blind buy all the way. I don't condone it. I don't recommend it, especially when we're dealing with niche. 2 of the reasons why I bought it: number 1, it had some great reviews on Fragrantica, and number 2, it sounded really interesting. It sounded like something a little bit different, but still wearable. So the price was decent. I found this little 30 milliliter bottle for probably like $70. And you might say, well, that's only 30 milliliters. This is all you need. This is all you need. This is plenty. If you have a fragrance collection of 20 or more bottles, this is plenty. Trust me. And this stuff surprised me because it is so freaking powerful. Wow, I have this on my hand. It kind of almost behaves like a fougere in a way. There is a very intense aromatic nature, lots of lavender in here. I think lots of geranium as well. So it's quite fresh, almost a little soapy. There's even this like kind of creamy sweetness that hovers around the scent. It is characterized by quite a bit of patchouli, but not patchouli in the dark or dirty sense. Not even all that earthy. It is kind of a clean patchouli. Patchouli, I believe, does come from the mint family, and it almost has more of a minty vibe, which kind of melds with the geranium to just make it mostly fresh. There's density for sure. This is a dense fragrance. Again, very powerful. This is beast mode. But it's not dark and heavy. It's still fresh. It's still something I would wear with some warmth. It does carry a bit of a gentlemanly quality to it. It's a little bit more upscale, something to wear maybe during the daytime when you are dressed up or when you want to have a more sophisticated vibe. Ultimately, a beautiful fragrance, and again, quite unique. It checked the boxes I was looking for. I just wasn't expecting it to be so dang strong. So money well spent for me. This is Patchouli Intense from Parfums de Nicolas. I gotta check out the rest of the house. Let me know if you've tried some of their fragrances and which ones you like the most. Up next, this is beautiful stuff. I cannot believe no one really talks about this. One of their newest releases from Cajon. Probably said that terribly, not Cajon. You don't play this. Cajon. I'm not French. This is called Aimez, Comme, Suis, which again, my French got no better saying that, but love me as I am. One of their newest fragrances, marketed for men. A stunningly simple but deep and rich and slightly unique fragrance, characterized by lots of woody and warm hazelnut, a touch of spicy ginger in there that I mostly get on paper more so than skin, but there is a freshness, a little bit of tobacco, so it's a little dark and earthy, a very slight dash of tonka bean, so it is a little bit sweet. As it dries, there's even a creaminess, but I get a lot of vetiver on my skin. The vetiver brings this kind of bitter, woody quality that's not overwhelming. It's not too earthy and dark. Kind of an understated fragrance. It's not gonna have a huge, dense scent cloud, but it will be noticeable. It will stay on your skin a good little while. It's only an eau de toilette, I believe, but it's not a slouch. Again, simple, but beautiful. A great combination of just a few constituents to make something a little different. I always appreciate that. And this is Aimez, Comme, Suis. I paid in the $90 range. Again, totally blind. It was my first one I bought from the house. will not be the last. All right, this next fragrance up is a little bit of a stretch. Technically, this bottle that I'm gonna show you, I did not buy. It was a gift from Grace, but I did buy this fragrance years ago. I owned it, I wore it a lot. I ended up selling it off years ago because I thought I didn't need it, but I realized how much I loved it. So Grace overheard that and ended up getting me a bottle for my birthday just a couple months ago. And I'm so happy to have this back. It brings back memories of the kind of beginning of my fragrance journey. One of the first niche fragrances I blind bought. Again, don't recommend it. No, actually I did get a sample of this first. I got a decant. I loved it, then I got the bottle. So that's how you do it. This is Herod from Parfums de Marly. I have several fragrances from the brand. I think only 2 of which I've actually received from the brand for free, which was Sedley and Percival. I love both of those fragrances. The other ones that I have, I did not receive for free from the brand, like Carlisle and Leighton Exclusive, as well as Darley, which is not my favorite from the house, but it's still nice. Anyway, Herod, kind of in the realm of tobacco vanille. You do have lots of tobacco, you have lots of vanilla. You have warm spices, you have like some dried fruits. This is heavier on the kind of sweeter, more succulent side of things. There is more cinnamon going on in here, more dried fruits, more so than that earthy, slightly brash tobacco that you get from tobacco vanille. Another fragrance I love that I do plan on getting. This is great stuff. One of the best from the house in my opinion. Leighton Exclusive I think is still my favorite, but that was a gift actually from a subscriber, not from the brand. So I can't count it in this video, but I would totally buy that myself. But anyway, because I did once spend money on this fragrance, I count it in this video. It's about as expensive as it's always been, maybe a little bit more. Definitely get a decant if you haven't tried it. Don't recommend blind buying it simply because of the price. But Herod, lovely stuff. Up next is a fragrance I had to grow into. When I first got a decant of this, I didn't like it. I absolutely did not like it. It smelled like putting my face into a Christmas tree. And I spent time with that 10 milliliter decant over the course of a couple years. I would come back to it, like, you know what?
I still don't like it, but it's better than I thought.
Come back a few months later.
I kind of like this, but I don't know if I could wear it. It's too mature.
Come back a few months later.
I really like this.
Should I get it?
And then later on, I'm getting it. I finally got a bottle of Creed Royal Oud. This is one of the best from the house, period. This is in my top 3, for sure. Dry, spicy woods. Dry, peppery cedar wood. Not really oud in this one, but you get a lot of pink pepper. You get a little bit of this kind of green herbal powdery quality, which may not sound great, but it fits perfectly with the woods in here. And there's a little bit of this very slight sweetness that is not overt. Overall, very, very woody. Very, very dry and woody, but very elegant, very upscale. This is confident stuff. Newer formulations don't last all that long, so that's just something to deal with. I get maybe 6 hours out of this bottle, but I love it. I ended up paying maybe about 170 bucks for this from Nose Paris, who's actually a great overseas store to grab some niche fragrances for some decent prices. Just keep an eye on them. So I definitely got this below retail and I love it. Creed Royal Oud. Took me some time, but finally came around. And lastly, this fragrance was love at first sniff, albeit it was on paper, but I already knew this thing is for me. I have to own this. I have to wear this in the right occasions. I want to be challenged by it. I know it's not an everyday scent. I know it's not something everyone's gonna love, even those around me when I wear it, but I know if I wear it correctly, I know if I don't put too much on, I know if I dress the part and I just present myself at my best, treating people with respect and understanding and kindness and all the things I like to say, then I knew that it would suit me. This is coming from Aimez. At the time I bought it, you could only buy it from overseas. It was over $300 because it was an exclusive fragrance to Harrods, I believe. They have since made it more accessible, even here in North America. And this is Overture Man. I still stand behind this fragrance. Wow, every penny, totally worth it. I'm gonna have this bottle for a long time. This is sharp, rich, boozy, leathery, animalic, spicy. You get lots of cognac in here, which is kind of a sweeter, richer, boozy nuance mixed with lots of spices, mixed with a sharp, animalistic funk, but not dirty. It's hard to explain. It mixes so well with the rest of the nuances. A little bit of bitter grapefruit up top to add a pop of freshness that's not there for very long, but I do really love it every time. Every time I get to spray this, I love that grapefruit. It's bitter, it's mouth-watering, but immediately you're met with sweet booziness, sharp animal notes. Again, lots of spices and lots of other things going on, maybe some woods and things. Basically smells the way it looks. Not for everyone. Powerful fragrance, a little polarizing, something I would only wear dressed up in the cooler weather at night. And again, I may not put on more than 3 sprays of this, probably 2, depending on the type of room I'll be in. If it's going to be a larger space, I'll go with 3, no problem. And I'll just let it waft and I'll just enjoy that bubble, and I think others will too. Even if they won't say anything, they may not give me a compliment, but I know it's having an impact. And that's what I care about most. Compliments are fleeting, but that first impression, that look in their eyes, that engagement you receive from them, you know it. You know your fragrance is playing a role, even if it's not conscious to them at the moment. And I love that so much more than someone telling me I smell good. That's just me. Anyway, that's Overture Man from Aimez. Okay, that's me. Those are a few fragrances that are coming from prominent niche houses that I have spent my money on because I actually find value in them. There are plenty of others here, but frankly, I'm moving. I'm getting ready to move into a new place, and most of my fragrances are already there. So I have this one box filled with a bunch of random fragrances that I have to choose from. And I just happen to have these in there. I could have probably made it a top 10, but here we are. Anyway, let me know what you think of these fragrances. If you enjoy them, if you've tried them. If you haven't tried them, I'm gonna have links in the description to places where you can sample them and just find ways to get your nose on them, however it makes sense for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.